pretty much every day. And that's why I was like, Chael's going to be the one that says something.
You knew it.
I knew it.
We're going.
We're live?
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Welcome to the Spinnin Backfist MMA show. It is Robbie Fox. It is Big Ev. It is Jack Mack. And it is the American gangster, the undefeated, undisputed Chael Sonnen. Get that mic up on you. These are sensitive. No, all good, all good, all good.
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, you got snow, huh? I hear that's new in New York.
Yeah, we did. Are you a New York guy?
No, I'm from the exact opposite. I'm from Portland.
Well, I know that. Are you a fan of New York is what I'm asking.
Yeah, New York's all right. But weather-wise, this might surprise you. We're the exact same as New York.
Yeah.
You guys are always a little more extreme. If we're getting rain, you're getting more rain. If it's cold here, it's colder there. And
yeah. I saw you on a Helwani show yesterday.
Yes.
Really roasting his office and everything.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Is
what
our
a scam?
Is our office all right?
Yours is very nice.
Oh, it is. Okay. I was
Yeah.
worried.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Jordan and Jillian, I must give compliments to both of them. Very
Yeah.
nice, very chipper for morning time.
Great
Well,
talent
Yeah,
team.
nice people.
They're the best we have.
Best
They're
in the
like
biz.
top of the top. Now we'll show you the scumbags. Like we're over there.
Sure, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all of us.
You'll meet
yeah.
them later. Yeah.
All right.
We are here to promote the Bellator Grand Prix, though, starting on March 10th. This is going to be an awesome lightweight tournament. The Nurmagomedovs, just in general, what an unbelievable family and what an unbelievable region that is for MMA, huh? Dagestan.
Yes. Well, isn't that interesting, Robbie? I love that you bring that up because, and we give so much credit to those guys, and those guys do so well, and they're taking over the sport and all of those nice things. On the other hand, they do their training in San Jose, and I've never quite remedied that. I've never fully understood. Well, it could be even his late father, but he opened up a wonderful training center, and the boys from all over came. They got government funding. I mean, I could go on and on about these amazing things, but when it's time to train, they got on a jumbo jet and they went somewhere else. I've never understood that one, and I don't even mean that to make funny. I was thinking maybe you knew. I don't know why.
They love San Francisco too.
Yeah, apparently. And they take the whole team out there to San Jose, and they don't do fights or big fights unless they do that ahead of time. And I've never understood that part of it. I mean, Russia's always done very well. If you look at the Olympic Games, Russia's always a leader, and but they don't leave Russia to do it. They don't come to the States and they represent Moscow. I've never got that part of it.
That's a good point. You don't see that much. Well, you do see it in the promo videos, but a lot of promo videos like to focus on the hills of Dagestan and stuff like that.
They do have the nice spot now where I saw Habib playing basketball this morning, or Dagestani basketball.
A no dribble basketball.
No dribble, yeah.
Wrestling allowed.
Yeah. It's always funny if you go in his comments of the basketball playing when he plays and he doesn't dribble. Everyone's just like, wait, wasn't that travel?
Yeah. Have you seen Dagestani basketball?
No. I know the basketball that a lot of wrestlers will play before wrestling practice to warm up. That's what I'm trying to picture right now.
Basically,
I think I have it, yeah. And is that recent? So you were talking about the tournament, though, and you brought up Nurmagomedov, who's 16-0 and happens to be the world champion. I feel like I interrupted your thought. I didn't mean to. But
no, not at all. Just he is a dominant champ. Hopping into this, he's got Benson Henderson, a legend of the sport, obviously. You've got Pitbull in the tournament. You've got AJ McKee in the tournament. It's an amazing, like, lightweight Grand Prix that Bellator's put together. And I like the structure of that as well, having a tournament in MMA, knowing who the next matchups will be.
I love the tournament. And, I always give our sport a hard time. I've never been around more fake tough guys than an MMA locker room. That come on, I don't want to be this bravado, and they're such chickens behind the scenes. But there is something about a tournament, for whatever reason, where guys do tend to follow through. They do tend to show up and fight who they're supposed to fight. They understand that straight line bracket. There isn't a whole bunch of negotiating after the fact. And, you bring up Nurmagomedov, I guess you'd have to look at him as a favorite considering he's undefeated and the champion. But a lot of people are saying that this is McKee's time.
Yeah.
I think McKee's got his hands full in the very opening round. The Pitbulls have been studying this guy. They have been watching him and watching tapes and preparing for that fight several times over now. So it's an interesting tournament. And, Nurmagomedov's got to deal with Benson right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And you heard that Primus got put in the tournament.
He did, yeah.
Sydney Outlaws at Brent Primus. I mean, that's another world champion. That's the 5th world champion put into this tournament. Only one guy can come out on top.
Yeah, beat Michael Chandler. I was there for that one.
Yeah.
MSG. You were on that card.
Yeah. Yeah, he took out Michael Chandler. That was the ankle. Remember that?
Yeah.
Chandler threw a kick and set his foot down, and his ankle, it was like rubbery. I was in the back.
Is it even like a nerve thing, maybe?
Yeah.
Was it?
Something shut off. Yeah, it was like a nerve shut off, and so he lost all mobility to his foot. But it was literally like a rubber foot, and I was screaming in the back. I was watching on the monitor. Oh, I was like making my stomach sick just to watch it as he was trying to continue on.
Yeah.
Interesting night.
What do you think about his Ultimate Fighter matchup with McGregor?
I'm into it. I'm into it in a couple of regards. I thought it was a miss at the beginning because they were fighting at 170 pounds. And if you're fighting at 170, why are you fighting at all? Why are you guys a main event of anything? There's no contention, there's no title, and now you're not even doing it in a weight class. I thought that was weird. So the fact that they've at least fixed that, I think is a step in the right direction. But, when you're telling a story of who, what, when, why, and where, I still don't know why they're fighting. And they have ample time, but they're going to have to let us know.
Do you get frustrated when you see fighters like not promoting themselves
Yes.
as you think they should? I saw you talking about Shevchenko. That frustrates you as someone. Do you like ever step in and help fighters? Do you ever give them lines? Sometimes I read lines from fighters and I'm like, it reads like Uncle Chael wrote it.
Yeah, I do. And I take more phone calls probably than I actually write actual material.
Oh, yeah?
And try to help in that way. And I appreciate it. I appreciate being looked at like that. But I also appreciate when, they have enough concern for their own brand and their own sport, their own career to try to elevate themselves. I don't mean to give Shevchenko a hard time, but I was never as good as Shevchenko. I was never a champion and as decorated. I mean, that is the absolute queen of MMA. And she's also she's not a main eventer. I mean, you can't sell out an arena with her. And it's her fault. It's not her skills. It's her personality. I maintain that it's fake. I maintain that she comes out in the fakeness as being a nice girl. I think she's a bad person. And I think she should come out as she should advertise that. I don't think she has to
Do you have
apologize.
evidence of her being a bad person?
Yeah, I have evidence of many things that she's done where I look at her and go, oh, you're from the other side of the tracks. Like behind that smile and your 6 accents, there sits a dirty, rotten cage fighter just like me.
Yeah.
But I think that she should advertise that. Maybe she could get off of the undercards.
You want him to be the bullet.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I would just offer for you. I have fantasies too if I could go back in time or something. But one of my fantasies was to be as skilled as she was. If I was as skilled as she was, I couldn't imagine jerking the curtain for a guy named Ciryl Gane. I couldn't even imagine. I would say I would never show up to jerk a curtain for a guy named John Jones. And here she is, happy to have the spot.
Yeah.
She probably is lucky to have it. She's fighting. So I don't even know she's fighting. And I don't say that to be a jerk. That's what a poor job she does at advertising it.
Do you buy into the conspiracy theories that she could be a spy?
No, but I love them.
Those are great
Yeah,
conspiracy
I do
theories.
love
Yeah.
those.
I'm not even a
Speaks all the
conspiracy theory guy, but
languages.
yeah.
Then, she's an assault. She's an assault
Knows how to
expert.
work with, guns and everything like
Yeah.
that. Like picturing her as a James Bond type figure behind the scenes.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Oh, it's incredibly helpful. Like that kind of marketing. I mean, that's what legends are made of, right? It's
Yeah.
absolute folklore. And this is still a girdle that can't get to a main event.
Yeah. That's what you want her to lean into.
Sure.
That side of it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why you would show up and do an interview if you're going to put on an act. And if you're putting on an act, good for you if your act is selling out arenas. When you bring this act forward, you speak 7 languages, you got all sorts of world championships, you've covered the spread at 125, 135, your mom was a world champion, your sister's in the organization, and you're an undercard fighter, now it's time to change. So if you're going to come out and accept these interviews, don't come out there with your legs crossed and smiling and acting like a nice girl if that's not who you are. If you're a scumbag, come out and be one. We just want to see you be you. Yeah.
Is there any
buy some tickets?
Is there any other fighters that come to mind when you think of just fakeness? I know you just mentioned that a lot of fake tough guys, but
Sure.
the personality.
Yeah. So, well, they're all fake. I mean, as human beings, we are whoever we pretend to be.
Of course, yeah.
This isn't real. The problem I have is you got good guy and you got bad guy. Like the storyline doesn't keep changing. There's not 500 different flavors you can choose from. There's 2. And the problem with the heel is the heel can't take the booze. And we've got a lot of heels. We got a lot of bad guys, but they just can't take the booze. They're fake tough guys. They can't take an insult on Twitter and therefore they can't sell any tickets. Like she's not seeing this and thinking, gosh, I should listen to Chael. She's happy with her low pay. She's happy to be on an undercard, jerking a curtain for a guy named Gane. She doesn't have a problem with it. I'm not trying to step in and give her a hard time. She's a fantastic fighter. As a personality and a character, it's fake. The audience sees that it's fake, and she would be better served to come out and just be herself. And I maintain she's a bad person.
What's wrong with her Gane's last name?
Well, his name is Ciryl Gane. Okay, you need to understand this. You really got to understand this. Ciryl Gane is 1-1 in his last 2. There is one heavyweight in the top 25 who's never had a wrestling match. It happens to be him. There's one heavyweight in the top 25 that doesn't have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It happens to be him. So you got a guy that's 1-1 in his last 2. People don't know if his last name is Gang or Gong. You're going to put him in a main event against a guy who's never even competed in the weight class and call it a world title, man. Come on.
When it comes to Jones, I hate John Jones. I've been very on public record with that, but I feel like he's so fake with his personality.
Sure.
When he goes out and, I'm a father and I love Jesus and religion and all that, I feel like he should lean into the heel antics as well. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Oh, I fully do. I mean, but John Jones is another guy. They keep main eventing him, but he's only sold out 1 arena of recent memory. He's sold out more. But in fairness, his last fight to sell out was him versus Gustafsson Part 2. There was all sorts of drama on that. They moved it in 48 hours and put it in LA. I mean, that got a ton of media. They lowered ticket prices and he filled the building. But that's a guy who fights in front of a whole bunch of fans, thousands and thousands that dressed up as empty seats. And it's one of these situations where it's because he keeps coming out and pretending. And I'm all for the act. I'm all for pretend. I could be doing it right now. But my act is a good act if I've got people to watch. And he and Shevchenko are just turning people away left and right. I think it's a miss. You're a prize fighter and you want a prize, you got to go out and get it.
Are they together in sorts with that fakeness?
Yeah, yes, I think that's right. Yeah.
What were you insinuating on Helwani's show yesterday
yeah.
about?
They have a great story they could tell. I mean, that's their story to tell, but they have a great story to tell. By the time you work Holly Holm in there, you bring on all these personal sides, and you've got these two fighters that are very close in weight class. I don't know if Shevchenko if Holm had fought, and Jones made his choice. And I mean, it's one of these situations.
You went real quick there. Hold on.
Holly Holm,
Whoa. Where did Holly Holm come in?
You guys see where this gets interesting.
No, is there a triangle here?
Your guys' interest. Yes, there's a triangle here.
Okay.
It's their story to tell, and it's a great story.
Oh, I would love to hear this story.
And maybe you have the two girls end up fighting with each other. You have
yes.
make a business, but you got to come out and tell the story, right? You
not your story to tell. Sorry,
right?
excuse me.
They go and they hide from it. It's just one of these things. They can do it however they want. I don't mean to have heat around it. I just look at the opportunity that they have. I'm envious of the opportunity. And I'm trying to say, well, this is where they could do it different. And they can have people that cared and paid attention. I mean, it's a tough sell. You're bringing in a guy named Surreal Gone. That's a tough sell, man. He's 1-1 in his last two against a guy that doesn't even want to be in the sport. He lost the 1-1. The one he lost is to a guy that doesn't even want to do the sport. Oh, and by the way, isn't. He's now out of contract. Heavyweights are terrible. They've always been terrible. But this is like a showcase that's – This is a step in the wrong direction. I'll tell you that.
That's what I want to ask. I saw you mentioned too that because I think a lot of people are kind of very supportive. Like, oh, they're being free agents, taking control, good for them. You think it's a bad idea? Why?
And what was the question?
Why? So like, our Francis being a free agent. You were talking about like how Wilder's free agent in boxing. Like,
sure,
a lot of people like applauded them for kind of taking
that's right.
Hands. Free agency, they have the power, if you will.
That's right.
You're against that.
Well,
what's your stance and why?
Well, I'll share for this because this is one of those things where it's not my opinion or anyone else's hindsight. It's gonna be very clear whether my guess is right or somebody. But I'll tell you, Deontay Wilder and Francis, who went into free agency, believe that they can now go and date anybody. They don't. The part that they have wrong that I was correcting is that's not how they're viewed. The promoters and the decision makers don't look at them as somebody who became free. They look at them as somebody who isn't wanted. And that's what they are. If somebody wanted Deontay, they would have had Deontay. If somebody wanted Francis, they would have had Francis. They had the rights to him. They had the signature. They had everything they have to have Francis, and they let him go. And I'm just sharing with you that they look at it wrong. They think that that's a coveted spot to let the world know I have the loyalty to nobody. And it's not a coveted spot. You're now a man without a country.
So you think they're kind of this weird, like obviously there's no like Mr. like Francis wants this big payday boxing match. So you think now that they're in this weird spot where it's like, they're down to fight each other, but there's no one to promote it.
Sure. I mean, that's the entire thing. These guys don't have any backing. They don't have any distribution. I mean, you go to Best Buy and go buy the cameras and the equipment. Look at the show we're putting on right now. I mean, not for nothing. We could charge people on pay-per-view. It's not a complicated thing to do. They just don't know how to do it. They don't have a step in the right direction of how to do it, how to bring these things together. They don't have the foggiest idea how to book a media tour. They couldn't go book hotels. These guys couldn't do anything. You've got to have a promoter, and they want the world to know that they don't have a promoter. And I'm just sharing for you that's not a coveted spot. That's a very bad spot. And they should get a line and get signed with somebody as quickly as possible.
That's fair. I mean, Francis, obviously, he more sells things with his fist. I mean, he's not exactly like McGregor with his mic work. Like, they need somebody to get up. They need Uncle Chael to get up there and sell.
Sure. No, I mean, I fully agree with that. The greatest storyline in heavyweight history is Francis Ngannou versus Surreal Gone, and those guys laid an egg. I mean, that thing was a pay-per-view disaster. They thought it was going to do 1.2 million. I thought it would do 1.2 million. It did around 340,000. It was a disaster, and they had every opportunity, but they didn't take them. So what do you want to do with a guy like that? The guy that grabs the gun and turns it back on you, man, there's nothing for us to talk about. Well, I want to negotiate. Negotiate what? You're not drawing. You're not selling. We've already got a number. I'm not going to operate against myself. I'd rather not take the meat. I'll bring John Jones in from Albuquerque. How about we do that?
So what do you think about his, like, he basically saying the big reason he didn't want the contract is because of, like, you want the higher, like, minimum wages for the fighters and, like, that kind of thing. Like, do you think that's kind of like his cop-out, or do you think, like, he's genuine in that? Like, Like that's like the reason he's not signing.
Well, that's what he said. I don't have any reason not to believe him. I mean, it would be called standing. He would have no standing in my contract or your contract or somebody else's. And if he really did have the greater good and he was trying to help, I would say that he put his energies in the wrong direction. There was definitely ways he could have served the boys and served the masses. But John Jones made the exact same claim. I'm not coming back until everybody gets. He got a little bit more and he came back. And that's okay. We knew that's the game he was playing anyway. I just share for you that I would question somebody's credibility and their sincerity if that's what they were doing.
Did you see John Jones' impression of you yesterday? You didn't see it?
Oh, I'll pull it up.
No.
It was not the best impression, not the worst impression.
You have me very
somewhere
curious.
in the middle.
I got
where
it.
did John Jones?
You got it. He did this on, I believe it was on Embedded. They were looking back at some posters. They saw a poster of the fight you guys had. Here you go.
I mean, he's looking strong. I got to tell you, he's looking juicy. I haven't.
Wait,
I
how
haven't seen
juicy?
him.
Wait,
He's looking
specifically
very juicy.
juicy?
He looks very juicy, but I mean, he's wearing a sweatshirt there, and I haven't seen him. He was dropping hints that he wasn't going to fight till he weighed 240. He brought in a well-known steroid guy to be his head coach, and now he's claiming he's 250. That's the first time I've seen him in that sweatshirt. I don't know. I look forward to seeing him out of the sweatshirt, but he's not worried about it. I mean, they've changed the rules, and the picograms are okay. He's the only guy that can fail a steroid test. And it's okay.
And
the only guy who saw his history that's failed the test.
And they changed the rules.
And they changed the rule. Yeah.
Do you think he's an exception to the rule, or do you think a lot of the heavyweight class or UFC in general, MMA world, are juicing?
Well, it used to have a culture. I mean, that's just what you did. You went to practice each day. You got a boxing coach. You got a wrestling coach. Try to get Tap Out to give you a few bucks to wear their T-shirt, and then you took your steroids.
Was it everyone back in the day?
Yeah, that's a no. Okay. It was not everyone, but it was very much within the culture. Yeah, I hate to say it's everyone because first off, that isn't literal. And second, I was one of them that did it, so I'm not trying to bring other people on board, but it was a very commonplace within our sport. And John went from being the youngest UFC champion of all time to the oldest #1 contender in the organization. And I'm only bringing that up because I don't know where he's at. He sat for 3 years to try to gain some weight. He brings in a steroid guy. He gives me a hard time. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, looking pretty beefy. He knows something. He's better at beating those guys than I was.
Yeah, unreal. I mean, it's going to be a good fight. Changing tone a little bit. Do you think this is maybe going to be a random question? Do you think Dylan Dennis will ever fight again?
Dylan, I just spoke to him this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
In New York, you had to check in with the Don.
Yeah. Actually, he sent me a text. He said, "Hey, you're in New York. He's such a nice guy.
He is.
He's a very misunderstood guy, and I don't know if his heart is in it. I mean, I genuinely don't know that. It was in jiu-jitsu. He made a real commitment after high school wrestling. He didn't quite get what he wanted. He wanted to be the state champion. He came up a little short. He really pursued jiu-jitsu, and he was so passionate. I watched him go 20 minutes with Gordon Ryan, and this was the day Gordon became Gordon. Like the era was out there of Gordon Ryan, but he hadn't won it yet. The morning of the day that Gordon won Abu Dhabi was the first match. I mean, they went 20 minutes. It was 0-0. The referees had to step in and make a decision. But Dylan was that good. He was that passionate. He cared that much. And if that carries over to MMA or to boxing, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see, I guess. He was one where he put out a couple lines in the KSI fight, and I was like, oh, Uncle Chael's helping him a little bit.
No, he does his own stuff, but he's fun. I wanted to see him fight KSI. I thought he could have gone with him. KSI is a guy that deserves a little bit more credit than we give him.
For his promotion or his boxing or both?
For his boxing.
Okay.
But he deserves a little bit more credit than we give him. He's a legit tough guy. He legitimately shows up in shape. He has courage. He believes in himself. He listens to his coaches. I know that some of those are small things, but I don't know that he was ever quite given credit. The Pauls are a lot tougher than people wanted to admit they were, but KSI is too.
Do you think that's smart then? Jake Paul KSI next after Jake took the loss?
Sure. I don't have anything against it. I don't know if those guys have heat. KSI is now like partners with the other Paul brother in a drink company. And so, that stuff could get weird. If this is legitimate, if they have a legitimate beef, I'm all for it. But if they're going to manufacture it to take our money, the whole sport is manufactured to take money, but you got to be able to do it well. You got to be able to act. You got to be able to fool the audience. If they could talk us into it being more than a cash grab, I would be interested.
He was clowning him after the fight.
KSI was. Oh yeah, he was.
He was like smoking on that Jake Paul pack, like super excited about it.
How crazy was also Logan Paul getting the mic during the fight? Did you see that?
No, but I saw that it pissed Nate Diaz off.
It was pretty crazy.
It was weird. It was. I didn't really see it before in a boxing match.
They gave him the mic mid-fight, and he was like, "Tommy Fury, you're a fucking bitch. You're about to lose this fight."
Wow. It was played over the whole loudspeaker.
Wow.
Crowd could hear it as well.
I wonder if Tommy even really realized it happened. Because he's listening to it was in between rounds. He was listening to his corner. I mean, you hear it, but
do you think you would realize if someone started talking shit mid-fight?
Yes. Well, this is very interesting. I didn't know that happened. So I'm just trying to picture it. If you'll recall when Tommy fought there last, Jake got to sit and commentate the fight and was heckling and was interrupting the fight. Is that what happened? Was it?
No,
was
it was
right up front?
Essentially, he was in the crowd, and a sideline reporter came up and interviewed him, where it played for the broadcast, but also played for the entire arena.
Wow!
And basically said like, I think he asked him like, "What'd you tell me?" He said, "I'm not gonna give you a long speech. I love you. You're gonna do great."
Here's the video.
Ass, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Told him he's gassing out mid-fight.
Wow.
It's funny. I was watching on the British version because I picked the wrong ESPN Plus thing.
Yeah. Sure.
And I heard, and after Logan started swearing, the British said, "We're really sorry about that. We did not mean to interrupt your Sunday night with the swears from
the Americans were fine with it.
Americans were. ESPN social guy was like, we got to get that up right away."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about that. I mean, if you wanted my reaction, it's definitely unsportsmanlike, but I could see the entertainment aspect of it.
I mean, I would love for you to have the mic like mid-fight.
I will tell you, I'm a fight fan and I'm a supporter, but here and moving forward, I hope that you guys join with me. No more Sunday fights. Whoever it is.
I heard you say that. Yeah, it's the Lord's Day.
Boxing or MMA, if you do it on Sunday, we're out.
What about wrestling?
Wrestling, that's a day for Sunday. That's always been a day for Sunday.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's like Friday nights for is high school football, Saturdays college, Sundays NFL.
If you're not good enough to get a Friday or Saturday, we're out. You got to admit that, though. If you're the distribution and you're not good enough to get an act on Friday or Saturday, we're out. But I think we as a community need to band together too, because that's a cheat move.
Jake Paul's kind of the only one that has done Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rough and Rowdy's on Fridays. We have one on this Friday.
Yeah.
We'd love to get you out to one of those. We got one of these days. Have you seen Rough and Rowdy?
No, I haven't seen it.
We do like a tough man competition, and it is absurd.
Really?
Like truly absurd.
Just boxing.
Yeah.
Just boxing, ring girls, little people. You know, the whole shebang. It's kind of like a boxing, wrestling variety show with no wrestling.
Where's that sanctioned through? Who's
So we do it in West Virginia.
Okay.
Generally, we're going to Tennessee this year. We've done it in Providence, Rhode Island,
Kentucky.
Jacksonville, Kentucky. Yeah.
Very cool. And Barstool puts that on?
Barstool puts it
I
on.
think
Yeah.
we're allowed back
Yeah.
in Kentucky. I think they banned us.
Kentucky did ban us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
For the
compliment,
commission.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
commission
Yeah.
kicked
We're
you
the
out.
bad boys, you know?
Yeah.
You got to get decommissioned
Any updates
somewhere.
on
I agree, Robbie. I agree with that.
Yeah.
This Friday.
This Friday, yeah, we got an event. It's going to be awesome. Pac-Man Jones has fought in it before.
Okay.
We've had some fighters.
yeah,
All right.
Pac-Man. Who else? Any updates on the DB Cooper situation?
DB's dead.
Yep.
Yeah, DB's dead. He died a few Christmases ago.
And
Yeah,
you,
out in
how
Arizona.
did
But
you,
his wife's back in Oregon.
how did you get that connection?
DB Cooper, well, first off, he jumped from Portland. He was
Yep.
a Portland guy. He jumped from Portland, but we knew him. My parents had grown up with him.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not overly complex, but yeah, my parents came from a really small town. Like they played 5-man football, by example. They graduated. There's a class of 13. And this guy was skydiving, and he was one of their good friends. Now, people in this town hadn't even seen an airplane, let alone jumped from an airplane. And this was a good friend of theirs that was taking skydiving lessons and never mentioned it to him. And when DB jumped, you know, they put a picture out right away. It looked just like the guy. But my aunt had brought it up to him. My aunt looked at him and said, "Are you DB Cooper?" And he said no. He said he wasn't. But it got so weird. Everybody stopped and they never spoke about it again. And I mean, that was 50 years ago. And 2 weeks after that, he came over to my uncle's house. And he said, "Hey, about what your wife asked me." And he said, "You know, she's not the only one. Feds have already been to my house. I'm leaving town. Make sure she doesn't bring it up again." And he said, "Okay." And DB went to Arizona. Stay there for a number of years, you know. And today, in a federal case, you think, so what? But back then, you could rob a bank and move 2 towns over. They'd never find you. So, you know, he left Portland, went to Arizona for the statute of limitations, or at least what he thought was, and he came back. But he passed away. His wife's still there, though. His wife's back in town.
Unreal.
Yeah. Sure.
That is one of the more unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable, believable Chael Sonnen stories.
Well, I'll tell you.
I believe it when you say it,
Sure.
but it's an unbelievable story.
Sure, and I wasn't there. I believe he's deep.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures. It looked like. I know the feds looked into him. I know that he thought that they thought, and I know he left town for it. But I'll tell you one thing that is interesting. There was only one flight attendant that really spent any time with him. There's a whole bunch of eyewitnesses, but no one saw him. Even the ones that saw him never saw him. He took one flight attendant. She spent the whole time. I believe he handcuffed himself to her. And she told the authorities from day one, that's a Hispanic guy. From day one, she said that. And the authorities, no, it's a Caucasian. They kept going with Caucasian. And she kept saying, no, it's not. Now, the world was a very different place. She couldn't tell her story. There wasn't Twitters and Facebooks. But she told anybody that would listen, it was a Hispanic guy. And she was close. I mean, he was in a disguise, but Indian. He was of Indian descent. So that's where the dark features came from. And I only bring that up to you because where he jumped was what they call BML land. It was just government land and it was forest, but that land backed to Indian land. So he jumped into his own backyard. He jumped into an area that he's
familiar with.
Oh yeah. No, he was home by dinner. You know, that was another thing they couldn't figure out how we got out. And I have my own guess. I don't know if this is a fact, but I believe he just stashed a motorcycle down there. I believe he drove straight home. It was only about a 3 hour
dinner.
drive. Yeah. Yeah, it's about a 3 hour drive. So I say be home for dinner, but yeah, he could have literally been home for dinner.
Still hate The Sopranos?
You know, I don't hate The Sopranos. What I hate is people that pretend that they like The Sopranos. Not only do they not, I can prove that they don't. And there's really only 2 franchises of my lifetime that are complete misses, aside from Ariel's studio that I saw yesterday. The Hard Rock Cafe. You know, people are wearing those shirts, and it's disgusting if you ever go there. And then you have The Sopranos, which nobody's rewatched. It's never been on box set. Nobody owns it. You know, there's
people
really
rewatch it all the time.
People definitely
really
rewatch
great
The Sopranos.
shows out there. No, they don't. There's really great shows out there. No, you haven't.
All right, you know what? I haven't. Yeah. You're right.
That's right, but I could prove it. But I could prove it. Like, you have a great show like Seinfeld, and they bought a box set, and people bought it, and it was Christmas present. It never happened with Sopranos. Sopranos never got syndicated. You have not gone back and watched The Sopranos, and nobody from The Sopranos has worked again except that dude Paulie was selling bacon and eggs for Denny's at 3 a.m. for a minute there. The rest of them were all unemployed. Who's she? Who's that?
That's Carm.
Nurse Jackie.
Nurse Jackie.
Oh, yes.
And then Molsanti.
He's in The White Lotus, biggest show on TV right now.
White Lotus, is that good?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It is.
And then
I've been meaning
it's
to watch
enjoyable,
that.
yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
What's his name? Ended up on Blue Bloods.
Or HBO Max, actually, Chael.
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you can rewatch Sopranos.
Yeah. Blue Bloods. Well, I'll tell you what The Sopranos, what they try to be. I'll tell you that one of the great shows ever made, and it never got credit, is called The Shield. And The Shield is what Sons of Anarchies and the Mayans, it's what they all tried to be. They all tried to get back to the Shield. And they took a lot of the same characters. It was the same writer. It was the same. But if you want to go see a really great show, that would be it. For the people that pretend they like Sopranos while they're wearing their Hard Rock Cafe t-shirts, I don't know what a good cheeseburger it was, just to try to blend in, go back and watch The Shield, and you'll see a show that people actually like.
And you are a relatively fan of organized crime, not of the history of it, right?
Yeah.
We have a great show here at Barstool called The Sit Down, where one of our guys, Jeff Nadeau, goes through the history of all of it. If you ever are looking for some great compact information on whoever, and he actually updates it for now, like what organized crime is now.
Wow, Jeff Nadeau, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, look into
Hashtag Nadeau. He's also really good with the
Careful
ladies.
though, yes, he'll steal abroad.
Yeah, don't bring your wife around.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
for real.
Trusted.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Yeah, you can't trust.
He'll
him with the
steal your
ladies.
He
broad.
can take his best shot. Believe my girl ain't going home with Jeff Nadeau.
I don't know.
That's gonna be. That's where you're wrong.
Some guys might lose to Jeff Nadeau, but Chael P isn't one of them.
All right, no.
right.
We'll have it brought off.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, Chael. Thank you very much for joining.
That's it. This is how we go.
Well, you got other stuff to
mentioned
do
the
at
tournament, mentioned
Barstool, I
the
know.
Bellator,
Yeah.
You talked about March 10th. Yeah, they brought me all the way out here. You talked about March 10th and the big tournament. You talked about the Benson Henderson, and he's going to be taking Nurmagomedov in the very first round up to Grand Prix, $1 million to the winner, World Championship. We did all that.
We did all that. I'm
that.
trying to be courteous to the other people at Barstool that want to talk to the American Gangster. I believe you're going to be in an arm wrestling contest later. All that.
Yeah, no. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate
I
it.
really appreciate it.
And hopefully we'll see you soon. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You gonna end it, Greer?
Is he missing the end button?
There we go.